Last Christmas.
Oh dear. I got some stick for that.
I think some people watched it, and it was like, who is this random geezer singing Last Christmas? That people that don't know your face but know your name.
I assume everybody thought who was this random geezer, but you did.
I think your fan base is quite,
Mother, wife sometimes, that's about it. Yeah, but nobody knows that you just come up to people in Dubai saying, we're going to do a quick Christmas quiz, and then you just spring on us. Oh, by the way, you're now just going to sing a Christmas song. And that was it. And then, the light goes on and off we're performing monkeys. And I have to say, it was so weird because I was thinking, there's absolutely no way I'm going to start singing a Christmas song. And then you just go on. And then out of nowhere, I just started singing. So it's the effect you have on people.
You turned into a version of a cross between Elton John and, I don't know, someone else. But it was quite good. It's quite refreshing. I think people saw a little bit more of your personality from that short clip.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was with a mate, and my mate was like, what did you just do? I was like, honestly, I don't know what I just did. But anyway, good fun. And it's a good video. It's nice editing, whoever did that. Shout out Joe, probably. Probably wasn't you. So it was good.
It absolutely was me. It took more hours than it should have done. But anyway, here we are, first week of January. Just for people's reference, I probably should have told you that I'm doing this. So we are going to do this today, but this is going to go out Sunday. So this will be the day after, if you like. So we are here at Cabiel's homecoming, if you like, which is going to be a packed arena here in Germany, Dusseldorf tonight. So just a quick word on that, but we don't want to dwell on that because,
And look, it's a really big moment for us. I was actually here in Dusseldorf in 2015 when Fury fought Klitschko, which is basically the last big fight in Germany, almost 11 years ago. So it's a big moment for us. Germany has been for too long a bit of a sleeping giant. We think it's a big fight sports market, so we want to bring it back. But you need a star, and Agit now is a star here, and our job is to make him a bigger star in Germany, but of course also a global star, because that's the real difference. When boxing was big here in Germany in 2015 and beyond, you had a big German market with the local broadcasters. The difference to us is we're a big local broadcaster. We have Bundesliga, we have Champions League and many other rights, but also, of course, we're a global platform. So now we're going to shine a light on these German stars to a global audience, which is the key difference to the past. And we think with Agit and some of the other fighters you're going to see tonight, we can make boxing big again in Germany. So that's the plan. We start tonight in January, and we'll come back here 2 or 3 times this year, hopefully.
And again, just for reference, we could just say, what a great night that was in Germany.
What a brilliant night, and what a knockout by Agit.
Okay, he's called it here first. First week of 2026, we don't know not where we are, but these first few days of January always, you don't still know if you're coming or going, do you? You don't, do you?
It's very true. And January, traditionally in boxing, is a bit of a slow month. People don't like to train over Christmas. They want to enjoy their Christmas dinner and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at the schedule, we had a great fight last weekend, actually, with MVP and Amanda Serrano. We're here this weekend in Germany. Next weekend, we've got our debut with Darren Till, Guerrilla Promotions. So that's a bit of fun. And we've got a really good Golden Boy fight. Probably one of the fighters of the year, actually, from 2024. We're running that back, Curiel Rocha. So that's a good fight. And then the week after, we are stacked. We've got a Salita show on the Thursday. We've got another Golden Boy show on the Friday. The amazing, magnificent 7 card, which we'll come on to. I think Andy Cruz is also fighting that night. Jan 24th, Jan 31st, we're in Newcastle for Josh Kelly. And then into February, Feb 7th, Nick Bull, world title fight. Feb 14th, there was going to be a Riyadh season card, so we kind of kept that weekend blank. That's now not happening. Feb 21st, Wood Warrington, the return. That'll be awesome. Feb 28th, we haven't announced, but that'll be a Queensbury show. And then into March, Dublin. March 14th, St Paddy's Day, Kakachi Dickens for the world title. So that'll be very exciting. Got some other shows to announce in March, and we're now working on April. So that's, every single show I just mentioned there is part of your Dazn'S subscription. Didn't mention Ring 6, which is, of course, Jan 31st. That is pay-per-view, of course, included if you're an ultimate tier subscriber. So look, we've come out really, really strong Q1 this year, and that is the intention for every other quarter this year. We want to, affirm ourselves, obviously, of course, as the home of boxing, and just make our schedule as strong as possible.
Okay, it's a wonderful introduction into the first, the early months of 2026. So let's break this down. I don't always know kind of where your subscription level is for a new subscriber or somebody who's already currently paying now. So let's just break it down from, if you're not with DAZN currently, what does it cost to be with DAZN today? Isn't it? If somebody watched this and went, oh, I like Ridout's hair, I'm going to go and join DAZN.
That'll be a very small minority of people.
What does it cost right now?
There are a number of different subscription packages, which is understandable. Most subscription platforms are the same. You look at Netflix, you look at Paramount, you look at Disney, there are different options. So there are two real big distinctions with DAZN now. You can either be a monthly subscriber, or you could come in and pay, a lot less per month, but you've got to commit for the year. And what we've done, I guess it was probably October, November last year, we announced the ultimate tier. The ultimate tier is you get everything you get on the basic tier, but you're going to guarantee to get at least 12 pay-per-views a year. So all the pay-per-views included as part of the subscription. The downside to that package, unfortunately, with the way boxing is, we can't tell you exactly which pay-per-views you're going to get. We don't know, unfortunately, who's fighting in December 2026. We just don't know that, so we can't tell you. So look, it's called the Ultimate for a reason. You've probably got to be an Ultimate fan to want to subscribe. I have to say, when the guys, who are far smarter than I am, crunched the numbers on it, I thought the price you're going to have to pay was going to be a lot higher than it is. So me, as a boxing fan, I would be an ultimate tier subscriber, because I know that I would pay for at least 6 or 7 pay-per-views a year, and therefore I know that's going to make sense for me to do it. Even if I don't know which fight it's going to be, I know that I would be doing that. So if you think you're going to do that, subscribe to the ultimate tier. If you're not sure you're going to do that, then you can pay per month, or you can pay up front for an annual, and you're going to still get an amazing boxing schedule of at least 185 events.
Okay. Right, one thing you haven't mentioned is how much this costs.
Okay.
So can you break down currently, for a new subscriber to go and view them options and pick one, what that costs, please?
Yeah. So look, there are offers and everything all the time, so whenever people watch this, it might change. But approximately, you can pay about £120 up front, and you can get a year's worth of DAZN. Okay? So you get every single show, you pay £120. If you want to come in and just pay per month and not be locked in for a year, it's about £25 a month. But the ultimate tier...
It's a no-brainer then, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, we're lucky, okay? I can say, yes, I can spend £120, and I think it's a really good deal. We don't assume everybody can
Absolutely,
can spend £120. But I tell you what, I was out over Christmas. I went and bought a round of drinks, okay? I bought 2 vodkas, I bought 3 beers, and I think I got 1 Diet Coke. I think it was like £75. And actually, at that moment, Jesus Christ, that's basically your DAZN subscription right there. 5 or 6 drinks. It's nuts. Anyway, the ultimate subscription is a little bit different. Again, there is a cheaper upfront fee if you want to pay it all in one whack, but it works out to be about £22, £23 a month if you want to commit to the 12 months. And you do have to commit to the 12 months. So that's the difference with the other one. You can pay £25 a month, but you can opt in and opt out. For the ultimate, you have to pay about £23 a month, but you've got to guarantee that you're going to pay each month for 12 months.
But you can pay the 120 and get 12 months for that.
It's about that.
I mean, you're right. I can't assume everyone's kind of financial situation, so I get that. But if you're kind of committed, I suppose, to paying, say, between £20 and £25 a month, then it would make sense if you can do that, just to do that. And actually, that's not like me going, oh, yeah, DAZN. I'm just saying that seems a sense. If I was to subscribe to DAZN, if I was to one day, then that's what I'd be doing if I was going to think, oh, I'm going to pay this amount a month. Yeah.
So look, we think there's two. The way I would do it, if I had to pay for DAZN, is I would either do the upfront 120 or whatever it is. It's about that. Forgive me for not knowing the exact number. And you're locked in. You've got a year's worth of DAZN. Or you look at the ultimate and you think, right, if I know I'm going to buy 5 or 6 pay-per-views, if you look back at the history, we've delivered, pretty consistently some excellent pay-per-view shows. Then you go for the ultimate.
Oh, I think we've explained that relatively well. But yeah, as in regards to you saying that the downside is we can't predict the fights. I mean, that's not a downside. That's just how it is in life, I suppose. We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally unique. If you're we're a global broadcaster. We buy all sorts of different sports. We probably work with 100 different rights holders. We know that the Champions League, for example, we know how many games we're going to get. We know when it's going to start. We know when it's going to end. We know there's going to be a final this date. You roughly know which teams are going to be playing. In boxing, you don't know. You start at the beginning of the year, you start to hatch a plan with the promoters, but understandably, they can only work 2, 3, 4 months in advance because they don't know who's going to win the fights, and whoever wins the fights determines on what fights they're going to be next. Then you've obviously got the WBO, the WBA, WBC. They're all determining different things as well with their mandatories. So, it's a very, very, very complex sport. It's a totally unique relationship between broadcaster and promoter, totally unique in the sports landscape compared to us as a broadcaster and all the other rights holders we work with in other sports. It makes it bloody complicated. It's incredibly time consuming. There's lots and lots of fights. Hopefully we all get to a place where everybody's happy. That's the idea. And we try and deliver the best schedule we possibly can.
Give me, I don't want to call them negatives, but give me 2 things, or from whether you received from your own feedback within the zone or outside of feedback, 2 things last year that you could look to possibly change for 2026.
Look, anytime we announce a pay-per-view event, there is a backlash, and we understand it. We would love to put every single fight out for free, but then we wouldn't have a business and fighters wouldn't fight because they wouldn't make any money. We invest more in this sport than any other broadcaster. We're proud of that, and we have cemented our position as the global home of boxing because we invest more money than anybody else. It's taken a lot of investment. We feel that investment is obviously worth it, and that's why we continue to invest. But there are still some fights that need to be put onto pay-per-view to make happen. Parker Wardley was an example of that, and that obviously got a lot of backlash. Now, the thing I would always say about that fight was we really believed that fight was going to be an absolute war, and it turned out to be the case. It was a brilliant fight. It was a shame that Usyk didn't kind of chuck the belt away before that fight, and that fight could have been for a world title, which I think would have elevated it in people's minds. But ultimately, Fabio winning that fight meant that he is now heavyweight champion of the world. So for us, it was worth the investment in that fight. We think it was worthy of being pay-per-view. Could the undercard have been stronger? Yes, perhaps it could have been. Again, on paper, I thought there were some really good fights there. I don't think the undercard delivered as best as it could have done. And, we will learn from that. And I'm sure Queensberry will also learn from that. So that I think that was possibly a learning. It's criticism that we're always going to get. We didn't, I answered your questions around that fight. There is reasons why that fight had to be on pay-per-view. And in the end, we thought the fight absolutely delivered to be a pay-per-view worthy fight. I've seen some stuff flying about this weekend with Dalton Smith fighting. Why is this fight not on DAZN? It's a disgrace. Well, look, unfortunately,
It's about £40, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the UK.
And who knows what that promotional company is up to. But the fact is, that fight went to purse bids and Matchroom didn't win the purse bid. So therefore, the winner of that purse bid is entitled to do whatever they want to do with that fight. And they've gone in the direction they've gone in. Not our fault. Hopefully, Dalton wins tonight, brings the title back to the UK, and then there's some awesome fights, hopefully, for Dalton going forward. But we supported Matchroom in their bid. They were unsuccessful, and unfortunately, that fight's not on DAZN.
But those kind of situations are completely out of your hand, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we could have gone and armed Matchroom with a ridiculously crazy bid, but we've got to deal in the realm of reality, and Dalton being the challenger always makes it more tricky to get hold of a first bid. So look, we put our best foot forward. Unfortunately, it wasn't successful, and they've gone in their own direction with their own broadcast decision.
Obviously, yeah, you can't predict kind of even past March. Say kind of the St Patrick's weekend show that you're talking about in Dublin, press conference on Tuesday, I believe. But you can't predict. But I mean, if you're looking for a better year in terms of fights than last year, then I suppose what's been spoken about, it's potentially very good and encouraging for yourself and whoever else as well.
Yeah, I think 2025 was pretty amazing. The standout, I think, Eubank Ben won just in terms of the anticipation, the expectation, the build-up over how many of a number of years from when the original fight was supposed to happen, and then the fight goes and does what it does, and Eubank Senior getting out of the car, it just was incredible. So that was a mega event. There's lots of obviously big events being spoken about for this year. We've got a really, really big event at the end of this month, Ring 6, Stevenson versus Tio, which I'm really, really looking forward to. we hope that Feb 21st, Ryan Garcia against Barrios, it's been spoken about a lot. Hopefully that will be announced next week. And I think that's going to be a great event. So there you got, 2 really strong events, January, February in the States, supported by Ring and others. And then we'll see what happens with March onwards. But look, lots and lots and lots of big fights being talked about. And clearly we will try and do our best to make sure those happen.
And the pending return of the Gypsy King. We know a lot of the Furies are out here in Germany. Well, not ironically, but 11 years ago, they was all here. I was here. I didn't see you here. You said you was here. I didn't see you here.
I was here. I've got the photos of Rod Stewart to prove
I
it.
believe you. I totally believe you. But yeah, Tyson Fury's pending comeback, which we assume, obviously with Queensbury, etc., then he'll be involved in there somewhere, but we don't know specifically where and when.
Yeah, look, for me, first and foremost, boxing is entertainment, right? It's incredibly entertaining as I find it. I think it's the most entertaining sport and it's the most entertaining night you can have. And you want entertainers to be involved in it, as many as possible. And there isn't, I don't think, a more entertaining personality in the sport than Tyson Fury. So for Tyson to be back is, I think, a brilliant thing for the sport. We missed him last year. He's an incredibly talented fighter. I don't think he came into the Usyk fight in his best condition, particularly the second fight. I think a 100% fully fit, fully focused Tyson Fury beats absolutely everybody still. I think he's incredible. Nobody else moves like him. Nobody else has his ability, his natural size, his strength. So I hope that whatever Tyson is doing right now in Thailand ultimately brings him to be in the best form possible, and he comes back and has a bit of a run and ultimately wins the world titles back, because he's certainly capable of doing that.
Well, what's been called the future of our heavyweight division, Mr. Moses Itauma, who just recently turned 21, which is crazy. But yeah, he has his next step in the road, if you like, against a very durable fighter in Jermaine Franklin. I suppose the obvious question will be that, with Franklin, especially with his losses, we've got to point out they were losses to Joshua and Dillian White. Neither could stop him. So I suppose, and I've spoken to people about this, and I've even spoke to Moses about this as well, and it's like, yes, like obviously he wants to stop people, but that's going to be the play, isn't it? If he does stop him, in the fashion of a Dillian White or whatever, then I'm assuming that's kind of one of the objectives. They may not admit that that's the objective, but that's going to be one of them.
Yeah, and look, and it's worth saying that was a Joshua at his peak, a Dillian White at his peak. Both defeated Jermaine, but couldn't stop him, as you say. So that's the ultimate challenge. Can this guy who has stopped pretty much everybody else, he hasn't won every fight by stoppage, but pretty much everyone, can he stop Jermaine? Time will tell. But look, it tops a brilliant card, the Magnificent Seven. It's our first Magnificent Seven on DAZN with Queensbury, Jan 24th at the Cop. I understand tickets have sold unbelievably well.
Frank was saying it's like unbelievable how many they've done very early on.
Yeah, should be a sellout. So that'll be a brilliant, brilliant night in that venue, which is, I think, now the best boxing venue in the UK. It's a brilliant, brilliant venue. And celebrating Frank's 45 years as a promoter, which is just mind-boggling, extraordinary. This guy just carries on going. His enthusiasm is still there. He still matches fighters so brilliantly. He can still pick talent better than anybody else. So hopefully it's a real, fitting celebration for Frank, for Queensbury, and ultimately it's great to have Moses out early on in the year, and we'll see him 2, 3, 4 times this year, and who knows what he could be fighting for by the end of this year or into 2027. But this guy, world titles are surely in his near future.
Doesn't look like he's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, that's for sure. And I did the press conference just before Christmas for that card, and I have to say, every single fight, because we paired them all there, and they sat next to each other, and across the table from each other, and every single fight seemed to have a little bit of needle about it. And there's always these little storylines, Willie Hutchinson, Ezra Taylor.
Do you know how that fight got made or not? Are you aware of?
Well, it's something to do with you, was it?
Him there. Do you not know this?
I know.
I'm going to mention this because this is wrong, and I'm going to address it during the fight week. I'll make sure it gets Dev or whoever addresses it. The whole reason this fight happened was because of him, Joe, back there. Yeah. Got them both in a clip, had no intention of whatever. The clip blew up, and they nearly had a fight ringside, wherever it was. And then 2 weeks later, the fight's announced. So
IFL making shit happen.
Basically, yes. And we're going to make sure everyone that week knows that fight happened because of not just IFL, but
Joe,
Coffee Cofferson over there.
There you go. Yeah, look, really good fight, and there's a number of other good fights on that card. So really excited for that one. And this is just a great week of boxing. As I said, I think we've got a Salita show, I think we've got a Golden Boy show, and I think there's also a Matchroom show that week, leading up into Ring 6 on Jan 31st, and also Josh Kelly fighting for a world title on Jan 31st. So look, a massive January. Very exciting.
Right, just the last thing. It's a bit of a game here, actually. I want you to name me the pay-per-view fighters from the UK. Who are the pay-per-view fighters? You know the old... It's now an old, like the old conventional way of thinking of what a pay-per-view fighter was. So, name for me who are the pay-per-view fighters. I'm not asking for fights or cards. I'm asking for the fighters. Let's go.
Well, look, if you look at recent times, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, Derek Chisora, Fabio's been on pay-per-view, Moses has been on pay-per-view.
This isn't the question. So let me rephrase, right? Pay-per-view fighter, which I'm sure a lot of people would agree with, or the old way of thinking of what a pay-per-view fighter is that Joshua could fight me, and it's a pay-per-view fight, yeah? It doesn't matter. You've seen countless Joshua fights against this person, but it's not because of the fight, it's just because it's Anthony Joshua. Same with Tyson Fury. So those two, 100%, right? So I'm asking you again, right? In terms of a standout pay-per-view fighter, how many do we have in this country, as in England, or do we not have that model anymore in terms of you can judge who a pay-per-view fighter is? It's about the fight that they're in.
Well, firstly, anybody fighting you is pay-per-view, in my view. So Anthony Joshua against you is pay-per-view.
A-side? A-side?
Double A-side, maybe.
Double A-side.
Yeah. It's impossible to answer that question because it depends on so many different factors to go into pay-per-view. As I said before, we would love no fights to be on pay-per-view, but ultimately the commercials dictate what is a pay-per-view event. And I can't answer it any other way really, because it really depends on the fight, on the event. Look, we saw Moses against Dillian, it was on pay-per-view. Moses' next fight in January 24th is not on pay-per-view. Does that mean that Moses is less of a star than he was against Dillian White? No, he's a bigger star now, but just the commercials worked out that way. So, as I say, we will try, as always, keep pay-per-view down to a minimum. We want to provide as much value to our subscribers as possible. That's what we'll continue to do. And I think if you look at our Q1 schedule, we are absolutely doing that, and we'll try and ensure that it is only the biggest and best events that go on to pay-per-view, and we'll try and deliver as many big events as possible as part of the subscription. That is absolutely the intention.
I believe you. Yeah, I just believe you, not Dazn'S, I believe you. That's a joke, by the way, that's a joke. Yeah, trust this man, honestly, look at his face. Mike, Ridout, much appreciate your time on this Sunday evening. It was a great night in Germany last night.
Manchester United beat Brighton in the FA Cup earlier today. That's what I want to know. It's Sunday evening.
No, but we know Macclesfield beat Crystal Palace, which is absolutely insane.
Well, I was just speaking to Joe. So it was the first trophy Crystal Palace ever won, and that was their defence.
That's even more mental that they are the holders. It's crazy.
And it's the biggest, I think, discrepancy in terms of league position from Macclesfield to Crystal Palace ever in the history of the FA Cup, and they're the defending champs.
It's like basically like stomping around beating IFL, isn't it?
It's basically you beating AJ in that fight you just talked about.
Well diverted.
Yeah. Well diverted. Shout out Stomping Ground. Right, much appreciate your time, and we're at home now, not in Germany, but people understand that this was pre-recorded prior to Ajit Kabel's sensational knockout.
Sensational third round victory over Damien.
Wow, imagine you get this right.
Be the first of many.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ridout.